everyone, it's Sophia and welcome back to Sophia's Art Studios, and today I'm bringing you a 2-in-1 review of the MyArtScape 7-piece set of painting brushes and the Arteza 24 set of real brush pens. Anyway, I'm going to start off with the MyArtScape brushes. This set is $14.97 on the MyArtScape website, but the price will vary depending on where you get the set from. I really like the packaging and how the case stands up really well with that string that you pull. I think is really cool. And I think that's just really clever. By the way, this video is not sponsored by either of these two companies which I've just mentioned and I'm going to be reviewing. I just got these supplies because I've seen some pretty good reviews and I really wanted to try them out. First thing I noticed was that it was really difficult to get the paintbrushes out of the case. You can see me really struggling there to get the first paintbrush out. By the way, this brush is a 3/4 inch flat shader brush, which is really good for covering large areas on the paper, such as backgrounds. It's also really hard, like I said before, to get a good angle on the brushes to take them out of the case. Here again, once again, struggling. This brush is a number 6 filbert brush, which I have never used before, and I thought it was really interesting to work with. One thing I noticed was that the end of the bristles were quite choppy, but I'm still not sure whether that's a good or bad thing. This next brush is a number 4 bright brush. I really enjoyed using it to create sharp angles and some square straight strokes. Now we have the 4th brush, which is a number 4 liner brush. It holds lots of water and is great for long, continuous strokes. It's really flexible, but I found it surprisingly easy to control. I thought it was going to just kind of bend all over the place while I was trying to use it. Here you can see me trying and failing to get the brush out of the case. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, this is the next brush. It is a number 4 round brush, and I think that this was one of my favorite brushes in the set. It bounces back to a fine point after every stroke, and it's really versatile in that it can create a large number of different types of strokes. Same with the smaller number 3 round brush. Again, very versatile, very keeps the shape very well. The last brush is a 1/4 inch angled shader brush. I didn't get to experiment too much with this brush, but I found the angle to be very new and it was difficult, well not difficult, also interesting to try and get the right angle to lay the paint down best I could. Next we move on to the 24 set of Arteza premium real brush pens. The packaging is quite a floppy plastic that isn't too sturdy, so I wouldn't recommend keeping them in there long term because it's really fiddly and the ends are quite sharp. I found myself poking myself with the plastic quite a few times. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's move on. There was a great variety of colors which were really vibrant, and I didn't really find myself missing any because I could mix them really easily in a palette. Here you can see me that I am swatching out all the colors, which I recommend since the colors on the brush isn't always the same on paper. This goes the same with most art supplies. I always recommend swatching out the colors so you know exactly what you're getting. It's also a great way to familiarize yourself with how the brushes perform before you jump into a piece, because you know, you see how they dry, you see how they get activate and all that stuff. I was also really surprised, like I said before, with how vibrant these colors are. They really just pop right off the page, as you can see right there, and I find that really beautiful. When I was adding water to activate the paints, it did take a while, but that didn't bother me too much. Just think about that before you purchase them. One thing that I saw, which I wasn't very happy with at first, was that you could see an outline of where the color was originally applied with the brush pens, which was but the color dried and then you couldn't see the outline much anymore, which was great. Also, as you could see right there, I accidentally spilled water on the paper swatch test a few days later. And yeah, so just so you know, I found out that the colors do reactivate when you put water on them, because that's what happened. Well, at least it's better on the swatch chart than the finished piece, am I right? Here you can see me doing extra tests, such as applying the brush to an area that is already wet. I was saddened to see that some of the brushes came with frayed or stray bristles. That made them a bit harder to use, but it wasn't too bad. Quick tip, cut off the stray bristles with scissors, just be careful not to cut the wrong bristles off. However, the majority of the pens were undamaged, although none of them came to an extremely fine point either, but that's just the design of the brushes. And lastly, you can see that here I am doing a quick brush test, just to see what the pen looks like without adding any water. And now we finally move on to the demonstration. So I'm just drawing a picture of a girl, which I found on Pinterest, by the way. Pinterest is a place where I love to find reference photos for my art. So I would recommend you check out Pinterest if you are in need of inspiration or reference, because I tend to do that a lot. Here you can see me putting some of the brush ink onto a palette by rubbing the brush onto the palette, but not too harshly so as to not damage the bristles, and adding some water. This is great for doing light washes on the paper, which I did a lot during the first layer, such as for the background and the face. For this background, I am using the flat shader brush, the biggest brush in the set. It was really useful and I really enjoyed using it for the background. And then you can see me coming in, I'm pretty sure that's the number 4 round brush. Once again, I loved that brush so much. It was really useful and versatile. I could get thin strokes, thicker strokes, blending the colors was really nice, so it was really enjoyable to use. I found that these colors like glided and slid really well on the paper. I wasn't like fighting to move the color around, if you know what I mean. It was also quite easy to remove the pigment from the paper again, so as long as it was still wet, you could just, put a little paper towel on it and soak up the ink, which was really good. Now I am using the black brush pen inside that little mixing tray there, before I was, to get a first layer on the hair. When it's mixed out, the black actually turns into like a cool gray blue color, and I really like it. It's really pretty. I like it. Here you can see me applying the black pen directly to the paper, and I'm just going in again with that round paintbrush to blend it out. This is exactly what I said before. You can still see the outline after I've mixed the color. You can still see the line of where the paintbrush originally went before you blended it out, but luckily it's not too apparent after it dries, because I didn't say this before, but there's a little bit of a natural outline. As you can see in the background, once it's dried, there's like a natural little line that surrounds it. I think it's really pretty, but obviously if you don't like that, then this set might not necessarily be for you. For shading of the skin tones, I mixed in a green and a blue to almost neutralize or dull the skin tone a little bit so that I could use it as shading for the skin, and I think it worked really well. I really liked the effect that it gave, and I think it makes it look really colorful but also realistic at the same time. So here I am making her hair a little bit darker with the same black as before. I wanted a lot of contrast with her hair, and I really wanted it to stick out as well, because I didn't want the whole piece to just be quite pale. So I really think that the hair is what made it pop, because of the rest of the colors, such as in the shirt and like the face, they were all quite light. So I really did want to push the black on the hair. So as each layer dried, I kept adding more black just to deepen the color even more. Be careful not to add the color from the brush pen onto a wet layer because this drains the pigment from the end of the brush, and you'll have to wait a little while before you can reuse it because the ink has come back down again. I'll put a picture up here of what that looks like so that you can get an idea of what I mean. Anyway guys, we are reaching the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and learned a couple of things about these art supplies, just as I did. Let me know in the comments whether you have any of these supplies and what you think of them. I certainly had a lot of fun using them and will continue to use them in the future. I thought both of these brands and supplies were really good, and I will continue to use them in pieces in the future, so look out for those. Before I go, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I also have links to all of my social media in the description, where you can see updates on me and my art, as well as sneak peeks for upcoming videos. Also, if you made it this far in the video, incorporate the smiley face sign into your comment somehow, so that I can know that you watched until the end. And thank you for doing so. I really appreciate all of you and your support. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!